Hello guys, and welcome to a new Steel Division video today by me, Vulcan. Today I have for you a 3 versus 3 on Colleville, and in this one I'm going to be using the 3rd Armoured Division. So the 3rd Armoured US Division, that is. And I'm going to be playing with Val, who's using the 3rd Canadian Infantry, and Tony is going to be using the Guards Armoured. We're playing against a 352nd, 12th SS Panzer and 3rd VulcanHDGaming divisions. And this was a game that wasn't the most exciting in the world, but I think it definitely showed a strategy that I don't use very often at all, and it pretty much relies mostly on mortars. Now the thing is with the 3rd Armoured is their mortars are extremely expensive, and it is really off-putting to use them, but their actual units do come with 50 cals as well. The mortar carriers, that is, and they can be extremely effective, just like other 50 cals, in tearing apart infantry and light vehicles and AT guns and all sorts of stuff. So you can use them in that this sort of like multi-role position where they fire the 800-meter range machine gun at infantry while you're mortaring something else, and it's actually really cool to watch and really fun to play. So that's what I kind of wanted to show off in this one. I'm just going to speed things up because I had my units down for quite a long time. I didn't really have too much to use at the start of the game, mainly because the 3rd Armoured units are very expensive. I've got a complete lack of infantry in Phase A, as well as just requisition points in general. And I do have an M8 Scott and a M5A1 Stuart here, so that's pretty much my start.
What's up, sir?
Scott, Stuart, a normal infantry, armoured rifles with armoured leader, then I have an AT gun, recon, on the right side just an AT gun. So the AT gun on the right side isn't really there to do too much, just make sure the sideline doesn't really collapse. And you can see I have brought in this mortar carrier as well, that's firing off a smoke round to cover the advance of my half tracks. If I go onto the C position here, you can see that they can barely see my half tracks coming up the road here, so that's just pretty much to stop that. And it also forces them to stop a bit early as well, so that worked out quite nicely. So my M5A1 is going to be opening up onto the IG-18 and the SPW-222 there. My half-track does get taken down, and there was actually quite a few mistakes to talk through in this game. So I'll make sure to point those out, but here we can see an MG being taken out very quickly with the help of the M8 Scott, the M3A1 half-track. That's really nice because it has a 50 cal, this is a 50 cal half-track. We also take out the IG-18 there. And the 3rd Armoured's actually really well equipped to deal with this sort of fire position, or this fire support style of gameplay. So IG-18s, for example, Armoured divisions absolutely wreck them because a Scott and an M5A1, an IG-18 isn't going to do much before it's pinned down. Also here the mortars coming in, taking out that IG-18. So there's this strong combination of like the M5A1 Stuart, the Scott and the half-track mortar, easily enough to take out an IG. Either way, here you saw a Panzerstreck squad jump into the building where this Fusilier was and sniped my Stuart at max range, which was unfortunate to say the least. And we are already going to see one surrender, so over on the left side, Val's opponent being absolutely destroyed by his combined push of the Wasps here, the Stormtroopers. And that's pretty much it, really. Command carrier there rushing all the way through now. The VulcanHDGaming division being demolished by flames, basically, and he manages to make both of those mortars surrender as well. So he's opened up a massive front on the left side, but that's going to be taken over by an AI. Either way, let's focus on the right side where things were getting exciting. I don't really have too much to work with here at the moment, because everything costs so much and I barely get any requisition points. So one unit of infantry is coming up. I've got the mortar carrier in position. M8 Scott and the M3A1 are trying to take out this MG42. So the good thing here was this armoured leader was actually giving the veterancy to the M3A1, so that was helpful. What I'm going to do is actually move up my mortar carrier alongside the armoured rifle so that the mortar carrier can provide 50 cal fire onto the Osttrooper, whilst I can also open up with the mortar on to whoever else. Now on this right side, Osttrooper are going to be engaging my armoured rifles at close range, and this was a really big mistake because Osttruppen are actually pretty strong at this range. And what's going to end up happening, as I try and run away, the armoured rifles are going to get pinned down and forced to surrender alongside the half-track that gets destroyed due to the grenades. So I decided to like sort of do a unloaded position there, but just completely neglected the fact that that might already be occupied, and that was just a general mistake. So yeah, just don't do that. Be careful, unload your infantry early if you have to, and use fire support to check if there's anything in the building. Then if there's not, the infantry should be free to like run across the open and get in. Either way here, M8 Scott and the M3A1 happily taking out IG-18s. That's exactly what they're good for, and I'm also bringing up another M5A1 Stuart to replace the one I lost, because the great thing about the M5A1 Stuarts is they have these 3 30 cal machine guns, and so they are extremely efficient at pinning down opposing infantry. Either way, eventually Tony's Cromwell 4 over here manages to shoot and kill the IG-18, so that was really good. And you are going to see this Stuart head to the right side, where it's soon going to be joined by a unit of infantry. The infantry are going to drop out, they're going to run across the open, get engaged upon by whatever's in these buildings, and then my Stuart's free to open up. Now in the centre of the map, Trackers leaves the game as well. This is the 12th SS Panzer player. So 2 of the opposing players have now left the game, and you're probably wondering why I showed you this game, if at all, because there are, you know, half the enemy team like sort of left already. But basically I just thought it was a nice sort of interesting set of plays that I feel would work against players. And on this right side, Captain Feeney was really doing a good job. So here he smokes my units. I'm forced to move to the right side to try and get line of sight onto things. He manages to get his Fusilier to throw a mine onto my M8 Scott, and that actually does do some transmission damage there, which was a bit of an issue. But what I'm going to do is move forwards my M3A1 half-track here, just going to try and kill off this Grenfuhrer if I can, but also just try and reveal any infantry that might be in these buildings. My recon's moved up here and they're going to get taken out by the Osttruppen. I was getting a little bit careless in this game. So the M3A1 half-track, that's going to get popped by the Pak-38 up in the tree line there. But we are going to see these armoured rifles revealing a Fusilier squad, and then they're going to get pinned down and destroyed by my half-track and Stuart. So that's exactly what I was looking to do. There's the classic move up and bait with infantry, then slam them with the fire support. So I'm bringing up a second M8 Scott here, and that's quite simply to keep dealing with the IG-18s and infantry that are in all of these buildings. So you can see the Osttruppen here, they're going to be moving across to engage the armoured rifles, trying to possibly make them surrender, but I'm going to be able to pin them down very quickly in the open, and goodbye to those Osttruppen, and that opens up a massive front on the right side. So now Val's coming up against resistance again. I get the AI taking control, throwing Bolsheviks, L6s, half-tracks, all sorts of things at him. Meanwhile on the right side, I'm just trying to break out the top of this town still. Pak-38 comes out of nowhere, kills his Cromwell. Second Pak-38 comes out and kills my Scott. So we need to get rid of those. Tony's marking where he's going to arty. I've already got mortars on the way, and I'm going to be trying to kill off this Pak-38. If I can return the kills onto these Pak-38s, then I don't lose too many points. It wasn't ideal that 2 units got killed here, the Cromwell and the Scott, but either way, I still have the mortar available, and that's still going to be doing a lot of lethal damage. So armoured rifles finish off the MG42 squad on the right side, and we're pushing up pretty hard here, as you can see. The concentration of infantry is mainly in the middle here now. But with both the M8 Scott and the M5A1 firing at that one building, the Osttruppen are going to be taken out. So more infantry is being brought up to reinforce. I have actually lost quite a lot of units unnecessarily so far. These AT guns, I should have seen them coming, should have had some replacement recon possibly to make sure that that didn't happen and I didn't get ambushed. On this right side, Panzerschreck squad again, going to take out another one of my Stuarts. So Panzerschrecks, sometimes they get on my nerves, they really do. I think the main issue with them, for me, is that I always forget that they're a thing, because not many people actually use them effectively. So when I come up against players who do use them effectively and you know, keep them hidden and then ambush my tanks with them, they really pay off. So that was one thing that my opponent did really well. Either way, lose a unit of infantry to the AT gun completely unnecessarily again. So that was a bit silly, because that's like a 40-point unit there, armoured rifles and half-track, that I'm just losing for free. Now my M8 Scott is being shot at by this Panzer III, but this Panzer III has no veterancy and pretty damn low accuracy on its main gun, so my Scott's actually able to win out the engagement there, and that works out quite nicely. So now I'm bringing up an AT gun to help deal with the Panzer III, and I've got my mortar on the case, going to be going for the attack onto the PaK-43 here. Now my opponent actually smokes off the direction of the PaK-43, which was rather odd, but it doesn't stop me from obviously hitting that with my mortar. Now the great thing about these mortar carriers is that they do have 60 rounds of HE ammunition and 30 rounds of smoke, which is a lot. Here we will see the Scott get taken out by an AT gun though, and those AT guns were really starting to become an issue. So what can I do about that? I can bring in 2 more mortars, and this is where things really start to get fun. So these mortars are 100 points each, but of course they have this 50 cal, you can see the dude on the back there with the 50 cal, but they also have 1,200 meter range on that mortar, which is more than enough to engage most things from behind cover. So here the M21 is behind cover here and is able to just fire constantly throughout the game. Now this is looking pretty precarious, honestly, but I'm just going to move my M3 half-track out to help engage these Osttroopen. The Osttroopen shouldn't be able to push me that hard, so I'm trying to get the half-track machine guns on target to stop them advancing, basically. But yeah, what my opponent's doing right now is he's just trying to rush up to me, and this armoured leader's not having a fun time. M21's still firing away, waiting for his friends to arrive. And the good thing about these mortar half-tracks, like I was saying earlier, because they have these machine guns, even though it may look like that's just like a terrible choice, like bringing up mortars when I probably need infantry to defend the buildings, it's not actually that much of a bad idea, because the 50 cals can, of course, kill off these Osttroopen. But there we're going to see half-track pop the M3 half-track again. I'm going to stop my mortar, and I'm going to be firing at that as soon as possible. I'm now bringing up some reinforcing infantry, since, you know, there isn't actually much on the ground here, as you can see. We've got 2 squads of armoured rifles, I've got the 3 mortar carriers and the armoured leader. That's pretty much it. M1 gun sitting on the right side. Now this M1 gun probably could have moved forwards, but where it was at the moment is absolutely fine. And here we can see what I was talking about earlier with the 50 cals opening up onto the Osttroopen while their mortars are busy firing at the AT guns, and that's just really nice. Also going to be joined by an M3A1 half-track, which dropped off some armoured LMG rifles. And those LMG rifles pretty much here to just counter Osttroopen, quite simply. Osttroopen are okay, but they only have 4 HE value and like a total of 6 HE value at range, like at beyond 100 meters, whereas armoured LMG rifles, they have 12 HE beyond 100 meters, which is really, really good. Either way, mortars are going crazy now, slowly taking out the PaK-38s, and you can see just how many units were here at this point. Loads of Osttroopen. We're seeing some grenadiers being brought in now, but the PaK-38s, they're being killed off, and that's what matters, because without those PaK-38s, I'm able to continue to push forwards with these M21 mortar carriers. Now over on the left side of things, where Tony's brought up a 17-pounder, he does manage to take out 2 of the Panzer IIIs that were pushing us. My M1 gun's also having a go there. But as you can see, anytime an IG-18 is showing itself, it's going to get taken out. Now one thing I forgot to mention at the start of the game was that we are playing this on the 2v2/3v3 version on the map. But one thing that you might notice is it's actually quite cramped. And that's one thing that I don't particularly like about this map. It would have been nice if we had obviously some competition, but in general, like, this would be crazy to play. There's always action going on, and I guess that's in some ways a good thing and a bad thing, but there's nowhere I can really flank, so I just have to pile on through. But in this case, the M21 mortar carriers are actually a really good choice, because anytime I see a support unit, I'm going to hit it with 3 mortar carriers, and these things have 10 HE, so they do a lot of damage. And these guys, as you can see, are just constantly firing. Spotted a Pack 41, all of my M21s are going to go on target. So yeah, the Pack 40 is going to kill off this half track, but it's going to be responded to by 3 mortar carriers. And you can just see how quickly it gets pinned down. It also takes it down to 2 health from 6 health in the one shot from both mortar carriers. And that wasn't even a direct hit, so these guys just did serious work throughout this game. Either way, dropping off some more armoured rifles, charging down the Osttruppen, assisted by the half-tracks here. Half-tracks completely safe from this AT gun because it was pinned down, so I'm able to just charge up and make these guys surrender. And this is pretty much where things start to get, start to go downhill for Captain Feeney. So he's been putting up a good fight before this point, mainly due to the fact that I barely had any points to work with. But now I can bring up at least 2 infantry per minute, so that allows me to actually push forwards with my initial kills from the mortars. So another Pack 40 revealing itself, going to get targeted by my 2 mortars. The third one is currently reloading next to my GMC. So there we go, mortar carriers firing and Pack 40 is dead again. The SOS troop trying to use the smoke to come across in the open here. Smoke wasn't far enough forwards, so the SOS troop going to get killed as they try and kill off my own armoured rifles. And the mortars are going to continue to fire here. We're going to see the Panzerjäger go down, and my troops just continue to move forwards. So it's very much like this constant push supported by the triple mortars, and I guess you could just call it a triple mortar strategy. Or triple mobile mortar strategy. Because if these were mortar carriers that were like on the ground, like normal sort of 6 strength or 4 strength mortar squads, then I don't think this would work so well. But because these guys are in carriers, I think it works really well, and I think I'm really wanting to try this with a German division, like taking the half-tracks with the machine guns as well as the mortars and using them to assist in an advance. Now at the moment I have all of the mortar carriers behind my front line just providing mortar fire, but definitely towards the beginning of the game I was using a lot of that 50 cal ammunition. So yeah, just continually just using 1 mortar on each position, just running towards them, making them surrender. That's pretty much all it is at this point. It's a pretty simple strategy, and I would definitely recommend trying it out if you're maybe relatively new to the game. Just bring in mortars. Mortar, like, so put 1 mortar on this Osttruppen, 1 mortar on the Pack 40, 1 mortar on like another Osttruppen, and then just run towards them. It's as simple as that. So here we can see just the mortar carriers targeting the Pack 40 again. They're going to come in with their multiple shots, also force this infantry to drop out of their carrier as well. Some grenadiers there. I'm going to have to adjust the fire of my mortars onto the Pack 40 again because it was missing slightly. But here we're going to see the jumbo come up. That's going to start to engage with these infantry. We have moved into phase B, so I do have a jumbo available, and I saved up for that just to make sure that I have something substantial to move forwards with, especially if I'm neutralizing the threat of all of these AT guns. So that's just able to continue forwards as if there's nothing here. Now on the right side, finding the pesky Panzerschreck squad finally. The mortar carriers still busy firing away. So over on the left, Val's starting to be pushed in quite heavily by the AI here. The overwhelming amount of Fallschirmjägers and Pioneers is starting to get to him. The AI really picking up that division and rolling with it, that's for sure. But either way, here come my mortars again. 50 cals are getting on targets. to these grenadiers, and you can see that they all have sort of different targets. So one's targeting the grenadiers here, and two are basically staggering their attacks onto these grenadiers. That's just going to allow me to continue moving forwards with my armoured rifles, supported by all of these half-tracks. So I have 3 of these M3A1 half-tracks with the 50 cals. Then I've just got a single one of the 30 cal half-tracks at the moment, and then the 3 mortar carriers. Look at all of this infantry. You just can't go anywhere. As soon as I spot an infantry squad, it gets mortared. And once it's falling back or pinned down, I just mortar the next one. And that literally just allows me to continuously take ground. Now with this strategy, you don't even have to kill the infantry. You just have to make it fall back to the point where you can move your own infantry forwards. And that's, again, a large point to make about this strategy. By the way, M4A3s coming in now. These are to provide a little more lethality and killing power to this mortar push, so they will actually do quite a lot of damage to the infantry squads, and that's exactly why they're here. So where the 50 cals and mortars pin down units very quickly, the 105mm Shermans can get the kills. We've also obviously got the Jumbo here. That's to engage with these Panzerjägers that have been pushing up the road. Not too much that they're going to have that can deal with the Jumbo though, especially as the 352nd Infantry. The only thing I need to worry about really is maybe a Jagdpanther moving into Phase C, but if he is already being hit really hard by mortars and all of his infantry is dead, then he's probably going to want to invest in more infantry again. But currently, just more Panzerjägers on their way. I'm not entirely sure if this was the best choice. Well, it definitely wasn't the best choice. In my opinion, I would have saved up for the Jagdpanther and used that to push back against me. But either way, the support of the triple mortars and the M4A3 is working really well at the moment, just to take on infantry. You can see these mortars just saturating this forest area, pinning down multiple grenadiers, and all that can happen here is armoured LMG rifles just charge towards them and we make them surrender. So that is the plan. Over on the left side, things getting very concentrated, now being pushed on by 2 AI. Tony in the middle, and right is just helping me push. Either way, planes are going to be brought in now. We take down an enemy ME-109. Ju-87 is brought in by our opponent, and he's going to be coming in onto the shot of my Jumbo. Now in the front armour, this Ju-87 actually has a pretty hard time of taking down a Jumbo, so that wasn't the best approach. That Ju-87 probably would have been better used taking out these M21 mortars. But he's going to lose that to Val's Mosquitoes. And we're going to be seeing a Panzerjäger retreat here. But yeah, I mean, you guys can probably see by now it's over, but in general, I just wanted to show off the sort of mortar strategy in order to break through a point head on. Because ideally, I would have been able to flank on maybe either side, like maybe push through the middle or push around the right side if the map was bigger. But because I was forced to drive through the enemy lines, bringing up these 3 mortars really helped me out, and what's even greater is that they do have that 50 cal support. That's pretty much the point I wanted to make throughout this game. These 105 Shermans as well, they're really good. They're just perfect for like taking out enemy AT guns, enemy infantry, just like fire position them into the side of tree lines. You know, if you're unsure if there's anything there, just spread out some shots across the tree line and they're definitely going to die. Just look how quickly these grenadiers go down. They get spotted, a couple shots come in from M4A3s and they're dead pretty much. I've also brought in 2 AT guns now, these M5 guns, but they're going to get hit by the off-map that was called in just before we killed the off-map vehicle. So that was unfortunate. But one of the M5 guns is going to remain alive, so they only managed to get 1 with the artillery. So you can see, as I've moved up, these armoured rifle squads have slowly depleted. But they have still been drawing fire for my Shermans to fire at, so that's pretty much what they've been there for, and it's worked out relatively well in this game to secure the victory. Now that's pretty much all there is to say about this one. Over on the left side, Val was just trying to hold on against the two players, or two AI he was up against, being flooded by twice as many troops as he can field himself, whilst Tony and I just crushed the player on the right side. So here we are, coming up to the victory score. Mortars are just mortaring all over the place. I'm literally guessing where there is enemy units. I know that there are units in here, this wasn't a guess, but some of my mortars were just firing all over the place. Either way, after 24 minutes and 29 seconds, we are victorious. And, well played to Captain Feeney, just playing on there, seeing if he could do his best. The AI there actually got a positive KD with Tracker's deck. That was quite interesting. But either way, we all did relatively well. 1,745 kills to 815 losses. At the start of the game, I lost a lot of stuff unnecessarily. Stuff that I couldn't necessarily afford to lose either because I had such a low income. But in the end, didn't particularly matter. Once I'd brought in all those mortars, it just allowed me to punch through their front lines so hard, because all of those AT guns that they brought in were just getting killed off without really doing too much. So that worked out quite nicely. Val, though, 2,565 kills to 1,660 losses, so although he was kind of losing ground towards the end there, was still killing a lot of units. And Tony, 775 kills to 1,185 losses. If we look at the kills, these mortar carriers, they definitely did a good job. This one took out 2 Panzerschreck squads, IG-18 and a Pak-38, paid itself off. This one took out Pak-38, 2 Pak-40s, which is again paying itself off. And this one took out a Pak-40 as well with an Osttrooper, and that paid itself off. So all of the mortar carriers paying themselves off, and this Jumbo picking up a few kills. The M4A3s picking up some nice kills as well, just finishing off the infantry for me, providing that lethality I was talking about. And that's pretty much it. Not the most exciting game in the world, but the only game I really had for you guys today, so I'm sorry about that. But thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.